Mr. Vargas?
So my normal process is to be a little bit more off the cuff, but I wanted to try and get this one right. So I'm going to be reading this comment. So Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg once compared battling discrimination to battling a hydra. Every time you defeat one form of discrimination, a new one springs up to replace it. Each new form of discrimination starts by targeting those who are invisible. It is easy to oppress people who are invisible. It is easy to demonize, stereotype, and convince people to fear them. But when they become visible, when they are your son or daughter, your friend, your neighbor, your coworker, it becomes much harder to justify discrimination. The power of that visibility is hard to overstate. When the suffragettes marched for the right to vote, they wore white, a visibility campaign that continues to inspire women's rights activists today. Civil rights activists used the media to ensure that every American saw the contorted and hateful face of racism in the South and the violence that enforced it. Gays and lesbians came out of the closet and won the right to marry and protection from discrimination. Visibility is powerful. When I was in college, just 5% of people personally knew a trans person. Today, it is 42%. And that visibility is undermining the foundations of legal and social discrimination against trans, non-binary, and queer people. But those who want to continue to discriminate against LGBTQ people know the power of visibility as well, which is why they are fighting so hard to put trans people back in the closet. They want to censor trans stories in libraries, ban trans people from public spaces, block gender-affirming care, ban LGBTQ clubs and groups, criminalize trans culture and drag, and even take trans children away from their supportive parents. And they don't care that children are getting hurt in this hateful political crusade. Last year, Oklahoma banned trans students from using bathrooms that conform to their gender identity. The rhetoric was ugly. 3 weeks ago, a group of teenagers took that toxic rhetoric onto campus with them and beat another child to death. Next Benedict's murder illustrates what studies have already shown. Bullying, harassment, and violence in schools increases dramatically in states and jurisdictions that consider and pass anti-LGBTQ legislation and policies. As board members and as a district, we have a responsibility to prevent these tragedies, the same as we have a responsibility to protect our students from other forms of bullying, harassment, and violence on campus. Luckily, we already know how to do this, but it requires more than well-worn lines about non-discrimination and half-hearted claims of neutrality. It requires us to actively create and foster a supportive school environment, empower trans students and their families, and ensure that all students have access to trans stories and voices. These actions do more than just prevent anti-LGBTQ+ violence. They promote health, wellness, and safety for all students. Pro-LGBTQ+ policies cut suicidal ideation and feelings of isolation in half, and are associated with lower rates of bullying, harassment, and violence for all students. Because when non-LGBTQ+ students see their friends and peers being treated with respect and dignity, when they see that bullying is not tolerated on campus, it sends the message that our schools are a welcoming and safe place to be for all students. Greater visibility and greater acceptance also promotes academic achievement, because when students no longer have to create safe spaces on campus, they can focus on their academic, athletic, and career goals instead. Our students are already leading the way. Last year, I asked the family of a trans student whether they felt supported when their child came out. These parents told me that they were shocked when their child's friends were not only accepting, but celebrated their child's coming out. It is becoming far more common to hear coming out stories today that are filled with joy, love, and hope. But that is not always the case, which is why we as adults need to have courage. We need to see culture war rhetoric for what it is and reject the fear-mongering of political activists. Our trans children are not mentally ill. Our LGBTQ+ teachers and librarians are not groomers. Our LGBTQ+ books are not pornography. Our LGBTQ+ stories are not obscene. And just because someone hides their fear-mongering behind code words does not change what it is. I am proud that for today, at least, we have chosen courage. We have chosen to follow the lead of our students who are already embracing their trans classmates with love and support and are waiting for us to do the same. We have chosen to acknowledge the humanity of every trans person in our community, students, teachers, staff, parents, and community members, and treat them with dignity and respect. We have chosen not to debate their right to exist or to enjoy all the same rights and privileges that the rest of us take for granted. This resolution puts our district on the right course. It sends the message to our trans community that we see you, we hear you, and that you are never alone here. And it sends the message to our entire community that we expect our students, all of our students, and our staff, all of our staff, to be treated with dignity and respect, and that we will tolerate nothing less. Thank you.